Hello and welcome to 10-Minute Tabletop. I'm Devin.
And I'm Darren.
And here are the biggest stories in tabletop gaming from the past week in 10 minutes or less so you can get back to playing the game.
Our first story today is another Magic the Gathering artist was accused of plagiarism. A Magic the Gathering artist has at least 3 separate allegations accusing them of plagiarizing the art for their submission for the Trouble in Pairs card from the recent Murders at Karlov Manor Commander decks. So this was first brought to light by the Reddit user Hypnotic, who compared the art against the cover of a cyberpunk 2020 novel, The Ravengers. The original artist, Fanato Giancala, then posted it to Facebook, accusing Dalton, saying, "Wow, nearly speechless, but not speechless enough to not contact a lawyer. Copyright infringement." And a day later, on March 26th, a Wizards of the Coast rep then responded on Reddit saying that they were looking into the issue, but there hasn't been any word from them since. So after this initial allegation, the internet started looking for other cases of plagiarism and found 2 more seemingly stolen pieces in the Trouble in Pairs illustration. But it wasn't that long ago that Magic the Gathering was in hot water for plagiarism. Just in November 2023, a Magic the Gathering artist, David Sondert, had to publicly apologize for stealing parts of another artist's work, and Wizards of the Coast then had to suspend any future contracts they had with him. And then another incident where they had to cut ties with another artist happened back in March 2021.
And why is this important? Well, even accounting for the idea of multiple discovery, where like multiple people come with the same idea at the same time, or similar ideas that are so ubiquitous that it's okay that they both exist. But these are all very clear cases of plagiarism. But Wizards of the Coast has all eyes on them with the recent AI allegations and things that came up with the Big Beast Giant set. There's going to be more and more of their critics having a fine eye on everything that's coming out on their art side. So Wizards of the Coast is going to have to find a way to deal with this, to actually have some sort of process to look through art and to account for plagiarism, which is a really hard thing to do. Or they're going to have to continue having to deal with this PR crisis after PR crisis. Now, this isn't a huge PR crisis. This happens with companies all the time, especially when you're Magic the Gathering and you're putting out 122 pieces of unique art per release. But it's going to be really interesting to see how Wizards tries to continue to handle this as we see it scale per release.
Yeah, they're going to have to adapt to the new world of AI and try to get ahead of this problem instead of constantly having to publicly apologize every time they catch it after the fact.
Paizo, the creators of Starfinder and Pathfinder, have a fun April Fools product that they're releasing. If you missed it, they promoted a 160-page sourcebook called The Gap that would link the Pathfinder and Starfinder settings together. But the entire book is full of blank paper. If you want to own the hardcover notebook for $15, you can go ahead and buy it. They tweeted out that you asked and we delivered. For generations, all information on the mysterious period in the Starfinder history known as The Gap has been lost. And now, well, it's still lost. What's funny about this is that there's a specific correlation between Pathfinder, which is the high fantasy setting for Paizo, and then there is the Starfinder, which is the sci-fi setting. There is this gap of time that between both settings, and that's what they're referencing. Is this is almost like someone came and took that time out of the multiverse.
Yeah, and why is this important? Because novelty is nothing new to TTRPGs. Like, monetizing April Fools with novelty is something that few companies get right. I think KFC did it with the double decker, which is like 2 chicken patties with bacon in between. And then Think Inc. Products did the Tauntaun sleeping bag. But it's just a great opportunity to see if companies can try a bizarre idea and get it to work.
Yeah, I mean, if you have those blue sky ideas, you can essentially get feedback. You can see the sentiment when you announce something like this. If there's enough people out there that like it, you go and you make it. In our next story, Rascal.News has covered the team at Weave Games and their recently launched Tabletop RPG TV Guide, a free community resource aimed at centralizing tabletop-related streaming content. This initiative, led by game designers Armand Babu and Perna M, seek to support the tabletop and actual play scene, offering visibility and discovery to projects worldwide. The guide is a public Google Calendar where creators can add their actual play shows to one centralized place.
It addresses the challenges of the tabletop industry, which is largely passion-driven and underfunded, by providing a space for creators to promote their shows and engage with a wider audience. And through community support and contributions, this guide aims to become a valuable valuable resource for both creators and fans alike. So hopefully helping to grow and strengthen the tabletop community by bringing us all together in one place.
Why is this important? There's a lot of people that have been trying to solve the discovery issue of tabletop RPG actual plays. And the fact that there's not a lot of ways to monetize tabletop RPG actual plays is one of the reasons why discovery is hard. With discovery on Twitch, Twitch hasn't actually found out a way to take any viewership away from their top, 3% of streamers, right? So Twitch hasn't figured out discovery. There is things like Series Seeker, which is a website that allows you to kind of search through tags and such to find systems. But what is actually driving people there? So yes, there's a niche amount of people this is solving. But having a centralized place does open up doors for folks to use that centralized place to maybe create other products that help with discovery of actual plays.
Yeah, you can catch us on there as well.
Hasbro is going big into gaming. Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast announced that they're pouring $1 billion into their games division. Of course, this is all inspired by the success of Baldur's Gate 3. The investment includes multiple studios working on Dungeons & Dragons games and the other Hasbro properties. They are developing new IPs such as Archetype Entertainment's Exodus that was recently revealed at the Game Awards.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I am personally playing Baldur's Gate for a second or maybe third time. But the studios will have creative independence, but communicate with each other, aiming to amplify their own strengths. Games are being developed for both existing IPs like G.I. Joe, Dungeons & Dragons, as well as entirely new concepts, with the goal being to create a range of experiences, some similar to Baldur's Gate 3 and others distinct, all grounded in the essence of their respective franchises. While specific release dates are not yet set, there is a long-term roadmap with careful consideration given to each project's development to ensure quality and alignment with the larger D&D strategy.
And why this is important is interesting. In this interview that they were talking about, they said they were going to be moving away some of these games from Forgotten Realms or Faerun, which is kind of like the default starting world for Dungeons and Dragons. There was some talk around Eberron, but there's also we might see a Curse of Strahd game. Curse of Strahd is one of the most popular adventures for D&D 5th edition. It's also one of the most beloved ones from 2nd edition as well. So we're likely to see them exploring their IP. And the thing is, if Wizards of the Coast could create a great Greyhawk campaign or a Greyhawk video game or a Curse of Strahd video game, they could then see that same result into expanding the IP they already have for their book sales. So if they can crush Eberron, then they can release out a bunch more Eberron books because they've gotten that interest. And they might be seeing, hey, we got people interested in D&D in the Forgotten Realms with Baldur's Gate 3. Can we do the same with Greyhawk? Can we do the same with, maybe we'll even see a Mad Max and we'll see a Dark Sun game come out. Not likely, but still interesting.
Yeah, this kind of goes what we were talking in about previous weeks, where we're seeing a greater effort of them to really push out their lore and establish their lore in books, in games, to really make the D&D canon something that they can push. And
Disney did this. I mean, they took Guardians of the Galaxy and they made that a huge part of their IP, a very small thing that they own via Marvel, but they turned it into an entire part of their franchise.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are our biggest stories, but we do have a few notes. Dungeons & Dragheim Kickstarter has collectively raised over $2 million. Their newest Kickstarter has raised over $700,000 so far. It looks like D&D Beyond partnership is a boon for the Dungeon Dudes, who have more than 20 days left in their current Kickstarter and are likely to cross the 1 million mark before then. Coriolis, the Great Dark RPG by Free League, did over $500,000 on Kickstarter with only a few days left. It's one of the highest funded Kickstarters for Free League, beating out Vaesen and The Walking Dead.
Ooh.
Those are all the stories we have for you today. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you want to support us, you can head over to our Patreon at
patreon.com/totalpartychill.
You can also share this with your friends, your family, and your enemies. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
Bye.